Hey, what's going on everybody? Alex with you here again as usual. Thank you for dropping by for yet another chess video. In today's somewhat informal video, in fact I was kind of not really even planning to make it today, but it just so happened that I had a little bit of time and I wanted to make this video where hopefully I'll be able to draw some comparisons and contrasts between the Chessnut Air electronic chessboard and the SquareOFF Pro, and kind of take a look at not only the physical differences, as you know, I'll be able to point those out to you in the beginning of the video, but also more importantly, having spent so much time playing on both of the boards, I will be able to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the nuances that are coming from the software standpoint to give you guys an idea as far as what to expect and basically help point you in the right direction in case you are in the market looking for an electronic chessboard, to be able to kind of give you guys an idea how one chessboard compares to the other. So like I said, this wasn't going to be a very formal video. In fact, I got my coffee here and I did end up getting some cake out. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the physical differences between the two boards and what I've come to understand over time. So the Chessnut Air, I've only had this board for probably a couple of weeks now, and I'm really quite enjoying it. It's a nice board. As far as how it compares to the SquareOFF Pro, it's going to be smaller, as you can see here. In fact, it's quite a bit smaller. The squares on the board are smaller. The pieces themselves are smaller. But you know what? Honestly, having played both of the boards, once you sort of get into the game, the size really doesn't matter a whole lot, because yes, up to a certain point, when I was talking about like the travel chess sets, the really small ones, like the electronic ones, when they get really tiny and it becomes an issue to where you're having difficulty picking up the pieces and everything, yes, that could become a little bit of a distraction when you're playing. However, the Chessnut Air board here, it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit more compact, but when you're actually playing a game, you really do not notice the differences. At least I don't notice the difference, because once you get like tuned into the game and you're focused on the actual position, on what's going on inside of the game, you basically, everything else kind of sort of tunes out. So overall, like I said, there is a physical differences between the size of the boards. That's relatively, significant, but it's not that important when you're actually playing a game. Build quality, as you have already seen, the Chessnut Air is on like a wooden board here with wooden pieces, whereas the SquareOFF Pro comes with this roll-up mat that's relatively thick. It's the thickness of this roll-up mat is more of like a mouse pad thickness, but it is silicone. So when you push down on this board, you have kind of a little bit of a feel of a little bit of that silicone pushback. Whereas on this board, on this Chessnut Air, the top portion here is made out of some kind of a plastic or something. The sides and the underside of the board is made out of wood, but the pieces themselves here are felted on the bottom, whereas the pieces here are flat. They're not felted. They have this just this dark little sticker. So as far as how it feels while you're playing, because these pieces have just a flat, hard surface combined together with a slightly soft board, you kind of get a feeling that you have a little bit of a cushion, okay? Same here, you have the hard board in this case, but the little felt provides you with a little bit of that cushion, so to speak. So it feels a little bit different because the Chessnut Air, the pieces slide a little bit better because you're dealing with a more flat surface, whereas here you have a little bit of that silicone feel, so it doesn't slide. A lot of people have talked before about how silicone boards, you can't really slide your pieces, but because this silicone board is a lot more dense than your usual silicone boards, and it's like thicker, you can still slide your pieces. It's just that you will feel a little bit of impedance when you're doing so. So bigger board, smaller board, here's one thing, that nuance that I've noticed while I was playing this board. Let me take a bite of this awesome cake. This cake's been in the freezer for like probably a month, maybe 2 months. Oh, it's still delicious. Oh yeah. Hopefully wherever you guys are, you're able to enjoy this video with maybe some food. I watch all my videos with some food. Anyways, here's one of the things that I was able to observe. Check this out. When you're playing a game, you can, because the board here does not bend, like this board bends and rolls up and everything. But the interesting thing here is because it doesn't bend, let's say you're playing a game on the table, and then you decide, or somebody comes in and say, hey, I need that table. Can you please take that board and put it somewhere else? Well, you can pick up the board and you can transport it just like I'm doing right now, or you can set it on the couch. I've tried playing. I would just take this board and I would set it on the couch right next to me on somewhat of an uneven surface, because couch surface is soft, but because the board is hard and it doesn't bend or anything, it really doesn't matter. And that's the nice thing. This board is relatively light with the pieces that you can just take it wherever. You can play on the carpet, you can play on the couch, you can play on an uneven surface, and more importantly, you can play it on your lap if you want to. I wanted to experiment what it would be like to actually take this board, which I did take this board on a long trip. I wanted to see what it would be like if I could just put this on my lap while I was a passenger in the car and just like hook it up and play with it, but I just never got that chance. But I feel like you can definitely put this board on your lap, which is cool. Like I said, that's a big plus for this particular board, is that you can put it just about anywhere. And if you need to transport it somewhere between like one room to another, because some games are longer than 30 minutes, and maybe you're doing some kind of an analysis and you just want to take that board to the bedroom with you and maybe put it on your bed and continue the analysis, well, you don't have to take your pieces off. That's the biggest thing, is you don't have to take everything off and put it back on. Here, you need, with the SquareOFF Pro board, you need a relatively flat surface. You can't really necessarily play it on like, you could play it on a carpet if the carpet was, solid enough, but you really need some kind of a flat table. You can't put it on your lap. You can't really put it on a couch unless you have one of those really, really firm couches. And if you did put it on a carpet, then you probably would definitely feel a bigger difference between how the pieces, move, because all of a sudden you wouldn't have that firm pushback when you're putting the pieces, and when you would put a piece down on the board, the board could potentially sort of do something that you would not necessarily appreciate. Okay, so that's that. Battery life on both of these boards is excellent. That's one of the things that I did not have an issue. I've played many games on this board so far while trying to learn it. I've played many games on this board and I've never really had a problem. For those people that are buying this specifically for like to go out somewhere to a place that is not going to have any type of a charging capabilities, then you guys would definitely want to experiment with the battery. But overall, unless you're going on a big trip somewhere, the chances are you're going to have some kind of an electric charge or something. You could probably have a charging bank or something that you could just hook up to this board in case you're out for a very long period of time. But let's face it, how often do these type of situations come up? You're gonna take this board while you're camping for a week somewhere. That's cool, but do find a way to charge your board, for one. And two is, if you're taking this board camping somewhere with you or this board, then you're really playing a lot of chess and not really enjoying the camping. So I think that for most people in most regular situations, the battery life is more than sufficient for any type of excursions that you're planning to make. I think these are really awesome to take with you. Both of these boards are really awesome to take with you, like traveling somewhere. If you're going to go on a cruise or something, this is fantastic. Okay. In fact, I think what I've noticed more so than the boards themselves and their battery life is the battery life of my phone, because my phone might be getting old because it's probably about 3-4 years old at this point, but one of the things I noticed with my phone is that when I drive somewhere and I'm using the GPS to get somewhere, the GPS will suck the battery life out of this phone like there's no tomorrow. It's no joke. It's an hour or so and the battery life will be drained. So in fact, when I use my phone for GPS, what I'll usually do is I'll say, okay, turn on GPS wherever we're going, and then I basically will say, okay, the next exit that I'm going to take off this highway is going to be in 50 miles from now. So what I do is I turn off the GPS and I will turn it back on when I'm getting to that exit, and that's how I get from one place to another, especially on long drives. Kind of similar thing is when you're turning on the Bluetooth capability of the phone, and the Bluetooth and the board are constantly syncing, so that the Bluetooth connection becomes kind of like a Wi-Fi. Even though the Bluetooth isn't consuming a whole lot of battery, I can notice that if I'm playing for a long period of time, my phone battery will start to die. So maybe other phones are different, but that's one of the things you want to kind of keep in mind, okay? One of the things I noticed as far as when I was playing the games, this is kind of interesting, and I've talked a little bit before about the SquareOFF Pro. The pieces themselves underneath, and I did the video. If you guys want to see the video on me kind of reviewing this board, be sure to go. I did a review a lot earlier. The pieces are not recognized as like individual specific pieces on the SquareOFF Pro, meaning that if I take the queen and I switch it with the rook and I put it in these positions, based on my previous experience, I'm not sure if things have changed. Probably not. I don't think so. But the rook sitting in queen's position is still going to be recognized as the queen, and the queen that's sitting in the rook's position, the board itself and the app thinks it's a rook. So in fact, you can just jumble up all the pieces in different locations and the board's going to be okay, because the piece does not have independent recognition. Okay, it's different with this board. And how is this interesting? How is this useful? I know we've did some tricks and to show you guys in that video, but when I'm playing this board here and I played some games, when you take your pawn and you get to the other side and you're promoting your pawn to whatever piece you're promoting, on the SquareOFF Pro board, when you get your pawn to the other side, on your phone, it will show you what type of piece do you want to promote it to, and then on your phone, you have to select which one. After you select it, you take that piece. Let's say you want to promote your pawn to the queen. You take the queen, you put it on the spot of the pawn, and then you keep playing. It's not really a big issue. However, on this one, because each piece is recognized for what it is, when you do promote the pawn, it does not prompt you on your phone what do you want to promote it to. All you do is pick up the piece that you want to promote it and exchange it for that pawn, and it immediately recognizes that you decided to promote your pawn into a rook or a bishop or what have you, or a queen. So that's a little bit easier because that's one step less of looking at the phone. And I feel like besides that, both of the boards are excellent. Both of the boards are priced similarly. I think that on the Chessnut Air app, and this board is currently retailing at around $199 or so, $200. If you guys followed the link that I've included with my previous video, which I will also include in this video, if you're interested in acquiring this particular board, be sure to follow the link that I will include in the description. And if you're interested in purchasing it with a 10% discount, be sure to use AlSuitChess in the code coupon thing, and then you'll get 10% off. A lot of people have already purchased, so that's been really awesome. Hopefully all those of you guys have purchased it will soon experience the joys of playing with Chessnut. But back to what I was saying is, like I said, both boards play excellent. This one retails for about $199. This one retails, I think it was like $299, and then they dropped it with the discount to like $269, somewhere in that range. At least that's what I've seen on the on their main page. You could also purchase the SquareOFF board from other retailers. I know that House of Staunton carried it for a while. That's where I bought mine, from House of Staunton, because I've heard a lot of people that they were having a little bit of a trouble with the delivery. Like, it took a long time to get this board delivered when they purchased it from like SquareOFF. And while House of Staunton got me this board in literally like 2 days, I think, 1-2 days. So, but the price, there's no price difference. So if you buy it from House of Staunton, you'll still pay about the same. With a SquareOFF Pro board, you're going to get the pouches, as we've seen in that video where I described it. You're going to get the individual pouches for your pieces. You're also going to get a little phone stand. It's not as good as the phone stand that'll come with the Chessnut, or so that you can order a separate phone stand for your Chessnut Air. But this phone stand is a lot more elaborate than the stand that came free with the SquareOFF Pro. So I feel like for just a little bit of an extra charge, you do get a really, quite a nice phone stand. If you're looking for a phone stand that's a third party, I'm sure like somewhere on Amazon, you're going to be able to pick up a phone stand that's even more elaborate. But if you wanted to buy the one on the Chessnut website, then I would say that this phone stand's a lot better than the phone stand that comes with the SquareOFF. Well, with that being said, for the $269 price, you get the pouches, you get the board, you get the pieces, obviously, and you get the phone stand, okay? You don't get a carrying case for this, and if you wanted to get a carrying case, you'd have to buy it separately, or you have to figure out what's the best carrying case for this. Here, well, for the original price of $199, you get the board, the pieces, and that's about it. For the additional price, you can get the pouches, the small pouches for the pieces, and the phone stand. And then for the additional prices you guys have seen in the previous video, you can also get the bag, which I do highly recommend the bag, because whenever I'm not using this board and I want to store it somewhere, because let's face it, there will be times when you are not going to be using this board and you want to store it somewhere where it's not going to get damaged, where your dog is not going to come and chew on your pieces. You really want to just keep it somewhere so that you can use this chess set for a long time, because if you're spending $200, whether it's a gift or for yourself, you really it would make sense, it would be reasonable to acquire some kind of a storage bag or something that you can just put it all nice safely in there. You can have a hook on the wall, and you can just, that's what I would want to prefer to do, is just have like a hook on the wall and just put it on the strap, just hang it on the wall. That way it's not getting in anybody's way, and it's protected. The kids are not going to get to it, the dogs are not going to get to it. So that's what I would definitely recommend, is get a carrying case for this. Get a carrying case for the SquareOFF Pro board too if you intend to buy this. You really don't want to just leave it the way like this, because it's much nicer to keep it somewhere where it's protected. Now here's another thing. I want to talk a little bit about my overall impressions as far as durability of the board. So this board right here, it seems like it's made really durable. Both the wood and the underside, it's made out of one solid piece of wood. It's not like it's made out of little planks or anything. So that's really good to see. Everything, there's no seams. Everything's been done really well. The board here does not fold. The board here does not do any crazy tricks. There's no movement of the board. There's nothing like that. So it's simple design, relatively compact. And what I would want to say is that a board like this is less likely to wear out over time. At least I'm hoping, based on the way that it looks. This SquareOFF Pro board is rollable, as we've seen in the previous video. It does have this like chunky little side thing. That's where the battery is, and I'm guessing all the wiring is. But like some people have mentioned, when you have this little side thing, there's like sort of this little tiny seam, and then from that seam looks like they've kind of connected the silicone board right into this plastic thing. And I've not had any issues, but some people have expressed concern that you have this giant plastic thing that's connected to the board, and then the wires coming out of the plastic thing here, out of the base, and then they're redistributed to all the little lights that you have inside of the board. as you roll up the board and you unroll it and you roll it up and you unroll it, and then you keep it rolled up so that you're putting pressure on the attachment, like the connection between the plastic thing and the board, over time, is there going to be a problem with like starting to lose connection? Because I mean, that's a valid argument there. If you're constantly rolling it up, especially if you're doing it kind of hard, which I would probably not recommend, honestly, roll it up, but don't do it like really hard like we do with like mousepad boards or some of our like vinyl boards. Don't roll it up really tight, because then you're going to put a lot more pressure on this little block and the connection between the board and the block, and potentially over time, not sure how that long that would be, we might see a problem with the wiring and everything sort of getting damaged over time, and maybe you'll over time start to lose connection. If you have a SquareOFF Pro board and you've noticed any type of issues with that, please be sure to let the people in the chess community know, so that so people are aware. Okay. So that's about it for like the overall characteristics as far as the physical characteristics. Now I do want to jump in real quick before I end this video and talk a little bit about the software. The software that is used by the SquareOFF Pro board is the SquareOFF app. The SquareOFF app has recently had an update. In fact, I believe the board itself also had an update on August 5th. So that's recent. So that tells us that as people are playing these boards, as people are buying these boards, the developers of the company, the SquareOFF company, are still putting in a lot of effort towards like fixing bugs and towards really trying to streamline and make this easy to play, straightforward, and eliminate all the issues, which is great. Okay. It's like my camera. I used to have the previous camera that was like a 2017, the GH5, and the last update to the camera was like 2020. So, and I've used it for many years, but like, yeah, the company, the Panasonic company is making new cameras, but like they stopped updating things, which isn't bad because the camera did great, but still, when you see that the updates are being done like recently, and that's a good thing. That means that the company still cares about this product, and that they're doing everything that they can to make sure that it's doing well. You connect to this board on your phone or your iPad or wherever you have the SquareOFF app. You connect it via I'm guessing the Bluetooth. Yes, the Bluetooth, and then it turns on. You make the connection. Connection is relatively straightforward. It just looks for your device, and when it finds your device, it beeps and it connects. We've already seen how the application works on the phone. You can play with either the AI, which is the computer. The cool thing about this is I've played it last night, and you can have adaptive AI, meaning if you're playing a certain way, like let's say you're playing relatively good and you're not really making mistakes, the adaptive AI means the computer is actually going to up its game a little bit and not make mistakes either, which is good. I beat it yesterday, and it showed me like it was playing on level 13 or something out of 20. And basically I don't know how well it adapts to your playing style, but it still does a fairly good job. Like if you're a very beginner in chess and you're just making what to the computer may seem like a lot of blunders, then the computer is likely to reciprocate and also make mistakes. Whereas, and I did notice when I was playing yesterday, even though I was trying to play carefully and relatively strong, the computer, a couple of times where I thought, oh, he's going to gain an advantage here if he pushes this pawn or something, computer would do something else. And I'll be like, okay, I mean, he's not doing something like a blunder or something, but he's like wasting tempo. So I could see that's probably how the adaptive AI works, is that they'll do a move that's not directly involved in the current position, and it's like, oh, okay, so you're like one step back on tempo and you allowed me to castle quicker than you or something like that, and all of a sudden, and that's a big deal, when you're playing online against somebody, people who are on a higher level, they don't lose tempo. In fact, they'll sacrifice their pieces in order to gain tempo. But that's what you have. You can do that. You can choose to play light or dark pieces. Sorry, this screen is kind of small, but I just want to show you guys. And then you can play online against people in Lead Chess. You can play against people on SquareOFF. You can play against people on chess.com. We've seen before stream games. I've never actually done this option. You have other little things like achievements. That's kind of cool. I always like achievements. I like when you have like trophies inside the app, and then you play certain amount of games or something, and it's like unlocks some trophies for you. So that's kind of cool. I have studied this up for a little while. I'm interested to know if some people out there have this board and are able to use other apps besides this with this particular board. As we're getting more and more of these electronic chess boards, I feel like more and more software developers are going to jump on the bandwagon to create chess applications for these particular boards, which is really exciting because this particular board, when it came out, it was supported by only a few applications, whereas this board, which came out a little bit later, or it's still in development, whatever, it can be played with like a number of apps that can use this, including White Pawn, including Chessnut official app, also Chess Dojo, Chess for Android, and I've seen other people are like independent software developers are developing drivers for this, so you can hook this up with your. I hooked this up with my MacBook. That's kind of cool because you get a bigger screen. You can also hook it up to your PC. I think you do need a driver, but a lot of the forums are explaining that there's people developing additional like connection solutions for this particular board, so you can have a wide capabilities of connecting this board to like a bunch of stuff, which is what I think that all these electronics boards should strive to do, is that they should start to connect with a wide range of things. Okay. Now, lastly is I'm going to kind of jump into this topic. So this topic is going to be sort of what I've been thinking about as far as how I want to see the software continue developing themselves in order to make these boards more useful to people. Okay, so back in 2005, 2006, maybe even like 2004, when they originally came out with smartphones, those of us who are old enough to remember smartphones basically displacing those like BlackBerry phones. I've had something of a knockoff. I think I had a Pentax or something, but it was like a BlackBerry knockoff, and it was an excellent phone. It had a camera, it had a really nice tangible keyboard, like a physical keyboard, a big screen. I could call somebody from the phone, and I could text really fast with that keyboard. It was really nice. And basically, when the smartphones came out, to me, like a lot of people jumped the gun. Look at this, we got a cool smartphone. What can you do on it? Well, people didn't think about like what can you do on it besides like, hey, look, we can play a bunch of video games. We can play Candy Crush. And nowadays, I feel like a lot of the like smart technology that's coming out, it's kind of similar. It's sort of like, oh, hey, look, bigger screen on the phone, more Candy Crush space, more video games. I don't have any video games on my phone besides the apps for these things. But when the original phones started coming out, the smartphones, my biggest question to me was not necessarily about what I can do on the phone, as opposed to what can the phone do for me that the other phones were not able to do. And as I've noticed the technology growing and growing, and the processor speeds were like, becoming stronger and stronger, and these phones are becoming faster, essentially little computers, what I thought to myself, okay, granted, I'm gonna get this phone. What can it do to make my life easier? I was a college student back then, and I thought like, what can that phone do for me in my day-to-day, besides, distracting me with video games, which I didn't even do at that time, but what can it do for me that the other phone was not capable of doing? And that was a big question, because people don't really ask themselves that. They look at the features that are provided on this technology, and they're like, look, you can take a bunch of selfies that you don't need, or you can do Candy Crush or whatever, and they get distracted by that. Or like the little Apple phones and stuff. Like, I think you can play video games on the Apple phones too, like as if we don't have enough stuff to distract us. But the biggest thing with what I'm trying to get to is, yes, we're starting to see this awesome chess technology, and it's awesome. I mean, we're moving forward in the right direction with these things because, like I said in my previous video, that it will allow people to play chess in their homes against other people around the world, and they can analyze their games and they can really become better at chess. It's doing things that is awesome. However, when you look at the boards like this, and you look at me just playing on my phone, like at chess.com or something, what are we gaining with these boards? What can we gain, and what am I looking to gain? Okay, so this is a big point. This is what I kind of want to talk to you guys about, is what can you do with these boards off the bat, like off the start? What can you do with both of these boards? Well, you can play with the computer on both of the boards right now. I can turn them on, I can link them to my phones, and I can play against the computer on both boards, and it's pretty awesome. Okay, I can also log into chess.com and lead chess on both of these boards, or I can play basically against somebody somewhere online, whether or not they have this board or not. So that's kind of cool too. So I get those two perks with having these boards, that I have these same perks if I'm just using the computer. You can take the Chessnut Air board. I don't think you can take this one, but I think maybe at some point, I'm not really sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was having some trouble with trying to understand if let's say I got a friend, Larry, for example. Larry's my good buddy who plays chess with me. Larry says, hey, you wanna come out to the library, or you wanna come out to the bookstore? Do you wanna bring your chessboard? We'll play a game. Okay, I can take this board and I can play a game normally, but what if I wanted to record the game? What if I wanted to play the game and have it be recorded on so I can take it home and try to understand where I could have improved, where the opponent could have improved, where were some key positions inside the game where my decision was maybe not the way that the computer would want to decide. I think I was having trouble finding how to do that on the SquareOFF Pro, but I definitely found it. It's really easy on the Chessnut Air. You can take this board, you can just start it online right over here. So Chessnut Air, you go to the board and you say play the game. And when you play the game, it allows you to have the option of playing against the computer or in friends. So when you do friends, it'll say variant standard or 960, real time or unlimited time, so you can have it timed. So you could literally just put unlimited time, and I gotta connect this, but connect it and go. And then what happens is you're playing in real life against somebody on this board. It will notate your entire game, and then you can finish it, you can resign. I guess you can just click the person who resigned, or you can checkmate, and then you can take that board, take that game, and you can analyze it. That's pretty awesome, because I feel like I wasn't really sure where to find it on this board. I'm sure it exists somewhere. I just wasn't able to see it directly on the SquareOFF Pro app. But after that, let's say this is where I'm kind of coming from. When you're analyzing the game, you just basically, what it does is it takes your notation and it saves it in like a clipboard on your phone. And then when you click analyze, what happens is there's a screen that'll come up, and the screen basically prompts you to go to Lead Chess. It doesn't prompt you to go to chess.com, it prompts you to go to Lead Chess. The analysis software that are using on Lead Chess, I think it's Stockfish 10 Plus. And basically what it does is you copy and paste the entire game notation, and then it directs you right into Lead Chess, and then it'll basically study your entire game, and then it'll present you with where you made mistakes, where the inaccuracies were, but you have to analyze it on your phone, okay? That was kind of a drawback, not necessarily a drawback, but if I want to analyze the game, I want to analyze it on the board just like I was playing the game. So if I am on Lead Chess here, I have to basically sit on my phone and click next, 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 and go through the moves and basically read on this little tiny screen about what things were not right, okay? There is a way that you can analyze your game. When you hit analyze the game, it'll bring you to the screen where it'll say your game has been saved to the notation, like the notation has been saved to the clipboard. Then what you have to do is you get out of that part and you go basically to play in chess.com. If you have a profile in chess.com, it will prompt you to log into chess.com. When you get in there, it's basically more or less just like a regular chess.com profile, and then you can go to, I believe it's learn on the side, like all the little options. You learn, and then you'll say analyze game, and you go in there, then take whatever's saved on the clipboard on your phone and you just paste it in there. You paste it in there, chess.com will analyze your game. Why am I taking you guys through this loop of nonsense? Chess.com, when you do that and it opens the game, if chess.com is linked to your board, you can press analyze and you'll make the first move. You'll click hit next and it'll actually light up on the board so that you can make the first move exactly where it went. Then you have to click next again on the phone and it'll prompt by the little lights where the opponent went. Now we're getting somewhere. I wish I didn't have to click next on continuously in order for the lights to light up. I wish we would have the option directly in the app, like the Chessnut app, which could say analyze your game, not only on the phone, but ideally, if it could say analyze your game and allow me to basically replay the game. It basically would say, e2 to e4, and as soon as the board recognizes that I moved that piece without me having to click anything on my phone, it would say, e7 to e5 or something like that. And once I made that, then it would basically light up what the next move was. That would be a lot more ideal. That's a little bit of extra software development. But if I could basically not have to access my phone as much as possible, that would be really cool. What would be even cooler is if I made that move and then it would say what the computer, like if it's an inaccuracy, it would be really nice if it would show me what the computer, upon analysis, believed would be the more appropriate move during my review of the game. So if basically I would follow and make the move based on how the game was, then it would say, no, the computer believes this particular move should have been more accurate. Then at least it would light up with like a different color, like a red or something, that would say computer believes that would be a more accurate move. So then you could sit there and at least try to analyze what's going on, okay? So if we could streamline that, the analysis of the games, I don't want to have to sit on my phone. If I'm playing my games on the board, whether this board or this board, I want to be able to analyze it on the board as well without having to sit there and look through the notation on my phone, okay, or on my computer, what have you. Of course, that's easy, but why not analyze your game that way? That would be, in my opinion, quite a nice perk, okay? Another thing that, and I've read, like I've been doing a lot of reading about this stuff and reading forums and everything. Another thing is, it would be super cool if, like, moving forward with these electronic chessboards becoming more and more popular, like with upcoming new boards and everything. Let's say somebody writes a book on how to play chess. Let's say somebody writes, a book on instruction, on whatever grandmaster is. It would be really cool if we could have like some kind of a link between the book. Like, let's say you buy a book online or you buy a book in real life, and then you get some kind of a database that you could link into a board like this. And then you could review the entire book. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, I think that would be so awesome if basically you could say, okay, chapter 1, Bobby Fischer is going to discuss with you, or whoever, maybe Bobby Fischer might not discuss with you anything at this point, but some grandmaster who wrote that book. Wouldn't it be so awesome if, like, chapter 1, he's actually physically running you through the example by lighting things up on your board. And you know what would be even more awesome? If you were locked in like on your phone or on the computer, and while you are making the moves, it would prompt the voice of the teacher to actually speak. So let's say he'll say, okay, chapter 1, we're gonna discuss this particular position, and you could hear it on the audio thing. That would be super fun. And they would say the first move is E2 to E4, opening up, the E file or whatever. And then it would stop. It wouldn't say anything until you make that move. As soon as you make that move, the board would send a link down to, send a signal down to the computer for the teacher to continue talking. And then the teacher would say, then the opponent responded with so and so. And it would wait again for you to make your move. Basically, that would be amazing, because you could literally be sitting there and you could understand how what the teacher is telling you about what their thought process is as you're playing the game to that instruction. That would be I think a huge development in this. Now I know there are some websites that actually to some of these chess books, they will have all the games loaded up in the electronic notation, so you could load those up or review those on your computer. But if we could have a more immersive experience, that would be so cool. In fact, I downloaded the app just the other day called, what was it? Dr. Wolf Teaches Chess. I'm sure some of you guys have seen this particular app. I have 2 phones because I was testing both of these on both phones. But Dr. Wolf is really cool. You have to pay quite a lot, I think 40 bucks per month or something like that, to have the full capabilities of the app. But the nice thing is that when you're playing the game, Dr. Wolf will text you stuff and say, oh, you made that move. Probably not the move that I would have made, but I can see why you're doing it. And it's supposedly a really nice, cool way of you learning how to play chess on many different levels. And Dr. Wolf, as along with the other people that are on here, are all very kind and supportive, and they're supposed to be kind of simulating a real life experience with a chess coach. I played a couple of games here, and I thought that this was really cool, because basically every time you make a move, he will say something along the lines of, oh, that's really nice, you're developing, or you're doing this, good for you for noticing that fork, or whatever. That's kind of cool. What I would love to see is Dr. Wolf, I don't think, connects to an electronic chessboard. That would be cool if we could take something like Dr. Wolf app that could connect to the board here and have the capabilities of having a coach, not like a real coach, but like a computer coach, that could link to a board like this. And as you're playing, instead of little text messages that you are receiving from Dr. Wolf, if we could get a real life voice, whether a robotic voice or preferably a real human voice, basically talking the stuff that Dr. Wolf is talking about. I mean, think about the capabilities. You could just set this up, link it to your board, and have a real life coach. Because having a real life coach would definitely help a lot of people improve in chess. Instead of saying oh, good for you, good job, good for recognizing the fork. Well, I saw the fork five moves ago. Thanks a lot, buddy, But really hone in, and I think that type of experience where you're having some kind of a coach, an automated coach that links with your board and really explains to you on you could probably choose how much explanation do you need based on your chess level, but could explain to you things in a thorough way of saying hey, I'm playing white, you're playing dark, I'm going to open up the E pawn because my subsequent moves might be to control the center in such a way. So I think that overall something like that would be just utilizing this board to its full potential, because besides just being able to play on this board against somebody online or against the AI, it would be cool to have an actual capabilities of a real coach. If you guys agree with me, definitely hit that like button, because I feel like getting a coach, like a life coach, is expensive and you have to find the time, but they could be helpful to you in ways that they could explain to you, that moving a certain piece, like why they believe you should have moved a different piece, for what reasons, and they could run you through, kind of like what my friend Larry does a lot of times when we play games. That he'll be like, you should have moved that pawn here because of blah 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 blah, and then I'm just like, can we please get back to the position where we were playing? But that's sometimes what coaches are able to do. They're able to see a lot further into the game than you might be able to, and then they'll really kind of help you, explain to you why you should have put that pawn forward in that step in a way that would be more understandable. If we could take all that and then we could create some kind of an artificial intelligence coach, like some kind of a computer coach, and then we could link him to a board like this or link him to a board like that, that would be an app that I feel like would be so helpful to so many chess players, beginners, advanced, on so many different levels out there, that you could just have, even if you had an independent app, not one that runs through like SquareOFF or Chessnut, but one that could link to a lot of these boards, just be like Dr. Wolf 2.0, would be so awesome. Okay, so overall I think that for what these boards are trying to do, they're doing well. Hopefully this video wasn't terribly too long, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because I already went through one of my SD cards, so I know I've been talking for a while. Hit that like if you like this video. Let me know in the comments if you got one of these boards, if you have both of the boards, how you feel like they compare. If you have purchased the Chessnut Air board, congratulations. Hope you enjoy all you can enjoy out of this board. Let me know in the comments what you think about these boards. And so with that being said, hopefully everybody has a good, productive, safe week ahead of them, and be sure to stay tuned for the next video, okay? Bye bye everybody.